It's kind of like declaring a major. It's like your soul declared a major before it came to Earth. That's your life path. To be honest, anyone who says that they have 100% mastered their energy, you need to run. Like,
It's
don't
scary,
just
yeah.
run in the opposite direction and know that it's always and ever evolving. Like at every new level, there's another level. I was never really present. Like my body was here, my mind was not. When I slowed down and I didn't pack my calendar to the full brim, and I actually had space and time built into my day to just be, that's when the creative ideas came. I would say this, if someone is listening to this and they have a hard time, or they find that they're getting or attracting clients that are not who like aligned or just feel like they're not quite right, a right fit, usually the issue is.
You're listening to the Real Business Connections Network. Real Business Connections Network. Powered by Balbert Marketing, LLC. Subscribe now and check us out at realbusinessconnections.com. Enjoy the show.
So, Anniston, I kind of need your help.
Okay.
So, at the moment we're recording this, next week I'm traveling. I have a wedding followed by a cruise, which is a great after party. It's like a wedding party cruise, basically.
Yep.
And currently, like in between meetings, I'm like shoving food down my throat and I'm working late hours because I'm trying to prepare for having a lot of time off, like literally like 7-8 days disconnected almost entirely. And last time my girlfriend did a cruise, I didn't even go because I didn't see that my business was in the place that I could take that time off. So I don't feel like a master of my own energy right now. I wouldn't call myself a slave, but I kind of feel like I'm just going through the motions as quickly as possible. And I know you can help people with this. And what are your just initial thoughts on what I shared here?
Well, first of all, I worked in the cruise industry for 20 years. So if you're ever going to ask anyone about a cruise, it's probably me.
I didn't even know that. So
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome. So, I mean, I definitely understand the desire to go on the cruise, but in terms of how your energy is, I think this is oftentimes what happens, interestingly enough, as we're preparing for a vacation because we need a break, right? And we're tired. We actually overload our schedule so much that we kick ourselves and our nervous system over into overwhelm, which then creates a ton of dysregulation and exhaustion. So we absolutely have to have that vacation in order to prepare and recharge after the week leading up to it and what we put our bodies through, right? And so I think that the key, number one, is you're aware of this. So that's the first step, right? Is understanding, wow, I'm feeling really stretched. And understanding, like, I understand I need to get a lot of these things done, but how can I do it in a way where I can also not completely abandon myself and still take care of myself, knowing that, like, when I have clients who will say, I just don't have time. Like, I just don't have time to wake up and to do some deep breathing or to meditate or to go for that walk. I'm like, well, then you need it doubly. You need to double the amount of time that you do it, because what happens when we are in a dysregulated state, which is AKA you're stressed, your heart rate is higher, your thoughts become more scattered. So we actually become less able to be efficient with our time. We waste way more time and we don't get through tasks nearly as quickly because we are stressed. And so I would argue that if you could build in some moments in your day, in even like 5 minutes, that you could just do some deep breathing and you could ask yourself, like, am I taking deep breaths right now? Like, am I breathing fully into my belly and not just in my chest? And do whatever you have to do to get to that state. You will think of ways that you can get more done in a shorter amount of time. Simple.
I might be a tough cookie, because what if I'm already doing this?
Well, you're already doing these little energy breaks.
Morning, I'm doing a short meditation. I take a ton of breaks. My schedule is actually relatively empty compared to what it could be.
Mhm.
However, I will admit those empty moments I fill with something.
Okay. Okay.
Possibly I'm just staring at a screen too often. And I couldn't be happier to be staring at the screen currently, but maybe I'm spending a little too much time on the screen. Um, I don't know. I'm thinking out loud here, but I don't
Yeah.
feel like an energy master, you know?
Yeah. Or you have, well, and I don't, to be honest, anyone who says that they have 100% mastered their energy, you need to run. Like,
It's
don't
scary,
just
yeah.
run in the opposite direction and know that it's always and ever evolving. Like at every new level, there's another level. At every new level, there's like, oh, but as you become more aware and you start feeling good, when you're in a week like this or you're in a season like this where you are stretched, you really feel it because you know the difference. The person who always has been this way, they don't know any different.
Mm.
So that stressed out, scattered, chaotic vibe is their vibe. And so that's unfortunate because it's very hard on the physical body. But so you could also take it as a positive that you are feeling the contrast and
Mm.
you're feeling the pressure. But I would also urge you to sit with, why does this feel like so much pressure? So I know you sound like you might have a little bit of fear or trepidation about being out of your business for as long as
Mm.
maybe you're going to be.
If I
And that can
don't
also be creating
overachieve,
stress.
if I
Yeah.
don't overachieve, I'm not happy. So
Well, there
I
you
want
go.
to overachieve. And so that's going
Yeah.
through my head. Like, I want to make sure that even if I take a break, someone's going to look and be like, wow, Ben's still overachieving.
Well, that's a whole other episode right there.
Well, let me ask you this. How did you start learning? And one thing I wanted to ask you about in a little bit is numerology, because I don't know what
Mhm.
it means, and I know you're a master numerologist.
Yeah.
But you also help women and you help people master their energy. Again, no perfect mastery, but
Right.
how did it begin for you, Anniston?
It began out of necessity. And I think that that's what happens with a lot of teachers is your life leads you down this path where you have to make a conscious choice of, I don't want to feel this way anymore. Or I there's got to be a better way. And that's really what it was for me. I was the classic overachiever, type A, very Capricorn, if you know astrology, um, kind of worker. Like I got it done. You give me a to-do list, I would get it done. Very, very comfortable in the execution. But what happened for me was that I recognized that slowing down did not feel safe to me, to the point where even if I was on vacation or even if I was, I had an afternoon to myself, I wouldn't allow me to fully enjoy it or fully take it. I would have the time, but then I would try to fit in some emails on the side or a call here and there where I could. And I likened that to, well, I'm just a hard worker and that's how I was raised. And so I get to multitask. And I feel like women use that, oh, I'm a great multitasker as this like badge of honor. Like I can handle it all. But you don't really see the full cost because number one, I was never really present. Like my body was here, my mind was not. I was everywhere else trying to keep all the balls going and not disappoint anyone and be perfect because I didn't want to appear like I was, like I wasn't perfect. And that requires a tremendous amount of control and a tremendous amount of gripping on your life. And it doesn't actually allow your body to ever fully relax. And so I started having some health issues that didn't seem to have any kind of a cure. Some were more autoimmune, some infections that would kind of come and go and come back. And I was like, I'm a very healthy person. I eat well, I'm working out all the time. And so it's interesting now, we eventually got an 8 sleep. Have you ever slept on one of those where it's like it cools, it's a cooling mattress. And anyways,
Oh,
it's
I've heard of
amazing,
them. Yeah, so you get
but
your
it
body
tracks
temperature, right?
everything about you,
Yeah.
including your HRV.
Mm.
And when we got that, it was like Rudy's HRV was like up in like, I don't know, 60, 70, which was like really healthy. And mine would be like at 19. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what? I'm not stressed. There's nothing stressed about me. And I realized, oh, no. My body is in fight or flight the entire day. So for me, work really understanding and working with my energy was the bridge to experiencing more peace and calm and presence, but also simultaneously success. Because when I actually felt, so interestingly enough, when I slowed down and I didn't pack my calendar to the full brim, and I actually had space and time built into my day to just be, that's when the creative ideas came. That's when I was able to see, oh, I don't really need to be doing that. That doesn't make any sense. Let me do this instead. This is more effective and efficient. And so again, like it was necessity. It was born out of necessity, but then I saw the benefits of it that I knew I had to teach this to my clients. And that's really where it came from.
What was the moment or series of moments where you started to get those red flags?
Mm-hmm.
And then what I'm curious about after that is what the first step was, what the first move was after that hit, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I will say it was an evolution.
Yeah.
I would have like a health issue, and then I would get really good and serious about, okay, I'm gonna slow down and I'm gonna get more sleep and I'm gonna not take my life so seriously. But then I would slip back into old ways. But what really created the shift for me was when I resigned from, I was a senior vice president of a large organization. And I made the decision to resign so I could coach full time, and do all the things I wanted to do, and podcasting and writing my books and all of that. So I did that, and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to take some time off because just to take a little time. And my husband Rudy was really supportive. He's like, you should definitely take some time off before you dive in to this full time entrepreneurial world. Like, give yourself some time. And I was like, yeah. So I gave myself a week, and I was like, okay, I'm ready. And I just started running the same speed I had been running in this very fast paced organization I had been within. I took that same speed and applied it to entrepreneurship and to building out my coaching program and doing all of those things. The problem was that what I noticed was, number one, the things that I was creating and the ideas I was having, like, I would second guess, and I would, like, a week would go by, I'd be like, that's the wrong decision. And I would change my mind. So it created a lot of this very, like, lack of clarity and lack of direction. And then me questioning and not feeling connected to it and feeling like I needed to, like, clean the slate and start over again. And then I just started feeling this anxiety like I had never experienced before. And so I finally made the decision at that point. I was like, I feel like I'm chasing my tail right now. I'm actually going to give myself 30 days. And the most interesting thing happened when I gave myself 30 days. Number one, the rule was I wasn't even on social media. I was total digital detox. I didn't send one email. I wasn't allowed to work on anything as it relates to the business. And that's when I had my freak out. Because when you take all of that away and you realize, who am I without my work?
Yeah.
Like, all my worthiness was tied into my productivity. And also, this was the first time since I was 15 that I wasn't bringing in any money. I've always been very independent. I've always been someone who makes money. Rudy and I have always been co-breadwinners. And then all of a sudden I had this guilt, like this shame that I was spending time doing nothing while my husband's out there working. And and the tendency was, well, I've got to, like, fill my time with all of these things. But I really didn't allow myself to do that. I allowed myself to just be, which was the scariest thing. And that's when I understood, wow, my nervous system was freaking out, like, as if I was being chased by a bear. And so what I started doing was all the tools that I collected along the way, but really allowing myself to do them. Like, breath work for me was key. Like, every time I would feel that fear about the future, or just feeling really uneasy about not having a full calendar or anything on my calendar for that matter, and feeling like, what am I going to do with myself? Like, what am I going to do? Like, who am I? Like, what do I like to do? And I just really had to start over and and reconnect to who I was. And what I realized was I had never really been connected to my body. I'd been like this bobblehead, and this bobblehead with like not connected at all to how I was feeling. And anyways, so the breath work was key, and then just allowing myself to sit with myself and do nothing. That was, I know it sounds crazy, but doing nothing gave me everything. It's like all the clarity I'd been seeking was there. I just had to be willing to sit with myself long enough to actually feel it.
Isn't it funny how it's like, how dare you? How
Yeah.
dare you not make money? How dare you take a month?
Like, who am I? What is this? You know? Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
What did you find? Do you know who you are? I struggle with that question. A mutual friend of ours, Brian Bogart, asks everybody who they are, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm nothing. I'm a child of God. I don't know. What's the correct answer?
Right?
What have you found? How do you respond?
When someone asks me who I am,
Yeah.
what I found was that who I am is someone who feels deeply,
Mm.
and who is someone who is very gifted, and isn't a job title. Like, who I am, what I realized is who I am is how I make people feel. Like, that's really what I realized is my value. And I think I had always placed my value into what I did for people, what I produced, the information I had in my head that I was able to share. And what I realized was it was so much deeper than that. I'm a seeker. I'm a soulful person. And at my heart, I'm a teacher. And I had allowed for a very long time that to be just the thing I do on the side, was the thing that actually brought me the most joy.
Mm.
And so, in leaving my professional life, really opened the door for me to make what it is that I believe I'm here to do front and center, and to lead with that.
Let's go
I don't know if that
deeper.
answered your question, but it's a hard question. Who am I? Who am I?
Well, and I'm gonna just. This is me. I'm gonna be impartial here. This is
Yeah.
me giving my own opinion. Not a fan of why questions, because why? I don't know. Because my dad beat me up when I was 5, and like they're very complicated. Who questions are very existential.
Yeah.
I like to focus on how and what. Like, how is all these things playing out in your life, and what are you going to do about it? What are you doing? So we kind of touched on who you are, but a big part of who you are is what you get to do and how you show up. So talk a little bit about how you're in the cruise industry, you take a break, you go out solo, you take a break prior, you have this soul searching moment, figuring out who am I. Now, how do you show up once you have that information? What's new? What are you up to?
Well, what's interesting is, so coming out of that season, I remembered how much I love to create. And I mean, just being creative and being innovative and being different and thinking differently. And I started without what really built my business, and I would say led to my success, which is working with women and running coaching programs and retreats, was this desire to just allow myself to create for creation's sake, just to create for fun, the things that I found interesting or that were helpful to me. And that looked like creating these meditations, or creating these, like an online coaching series, creating a podcast, doing a lot of writing, and then sharing that writing online. And what I found was, when I allowed myself to not overanalyze and overthink and over outcome it, right? What's this going to lead to? Is this going to lead to likes and follow? If I was just allowing the creativity to flow, then it was like magic. Like, I started to really connect with like women who were my ideal client before I even knew what my ideal client was. You know how it's all, you have to identify what your ideal client is and like write it all out. I mean, I didn't have to do that, thankfully, because I just allowed myself to be me and to create, and they found me. And so that's really what led to then, based on their responses, I would get on a call with them, and the questions that they had would then inspire more creation and that next evolution of. And so I would say, coming out of I call it my coming home to her moment, was the moment where I really just, like, that 30-day sabbatical where I just, like, delved into myself.
Yeah.
What came out of it was the most authentic version of me that I've ever met, and also a very magnetic one, because it turns out when you let go of that fear of the shoulding and you're trying to emulate someone else, like, you're siphoning off your power. But if you're just being you, and thankfully I was in that position, Rudy does well. I wasn't like, you have to start making money from day one when thankfully I had that ability to just be like, well, I'm just going to create. And if you like it, you like it. And if you don't, that's okay. And then it just built from there. So, yeah, it's created a life of ease. And honestly, it's what has informed a lot of my work now, and how I teach women. I teach women how to have their own coming home to her moment, and how then to move forward, and to really fall into that magnetism that I believe we all innately have when we're being ourselves.
So beautifully said. It's easy, like, from a marketing perspective, to say, like, I help men age 30 to 40 that don't have children do X, and then even in, like, networking calls, it can feel kind of transactional because you already have your power partner listed and this and that. And I don't know, the creative in me thinks that's really boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my question for you is, how do you know? And it's never 100% certainty, because you need to get to know the person, but how do you know that you possibly can help? Like, what do you see in a woman where you're like, wow, this is a person I want to partner with. This is someone I actually think I can help,
Yeah.
What do you see, or what do you look for?
Honestly, I look for me. I mean, I think that.
By the way, I'm totally okay with that.
No, I mean,
I'm the same way. Like, I work with people I think are badass. Like,
right. I look for when they start telling me their story and their past. I look for where is the through line, especially as it relates to what their greatest challenges have been, because our life experiences can look very different from one another. But specifically, I'll use me as an example. I would say my biggest mountain to climb, my uphill battle, was this fear of being fully seen. And that can create a lot of turmoil and destruction in your wake, when you're putting on these masks and you're trying to be this thing for everyone and please and contort yourself. And so I look for, well, I don't look, they find me. But when I'm in a conversation with women, I know that they're my aligned client. When, as they're starting to explain what they've been through, they even use similar words to how I described what that felt like. And thus, then I know that it's not even a question. I know I'm qualified to help them, because I was in their shoes. I walked their shoes. So I'm not teaching from my mind. I'm not teaching from a textbook. Yes, I've read thousands of books, but I am like such a bookworm, and I'm a seeker, and I love to consume knowledge. But what I realized was, and I've had a couple of clients where I took them on and I didn't feel like I really had that connection with them in their past, but I knew a lot. And I felt like, because of what I knew, I'd be able to help them and move them forward. It's not the same. It's not the same if you haven't actually experienced it yourself and worked your way through it. You lack the authority that you can't buy. And so for me, I look for women that I know I can coach in my authority.
I have a challenging question. Part of why I say it's challenging is I don't have the perfect answer to this.
Sure.
A lot of the best head coaches in sports weren't the best athletes. A doctor doesn't have to have a disease to understand how to treat it. What are your thoughts? Like, do you actually have to walk in their moccasins to solve their problems? And maybe it's the difference between, like, a consultant versus a coach, but what are your thoughts? I don't have a perfect answer to that, but I'm thinking, like, most of the head coaches were average at the sport, but then
Right.
they're fantastic at leadership or other things. So, just what are your opinion on all that?
This is true. This is true. I think it depends on really what your role is,
Mm,
because I'm helping women walk through, transform and transform things that are going on the inside. Like this is deep, oftentimes unconscious or subconscious wounding and
mm,
trauma that then we can diagnose by their behavior. And I think that so in that way, me understanding and having had a physical experience of what they're going through enables me to empathize a little bit more, but also simultaneously not empathize too much, because I know you can work through it, right? I've been there. And so I prefer to work with women who I have that connection with,
mm,
and I tend to attract them. I don't
mm,
even have to look for them. I attract women who have visibility issues, major visibility issues.
mm,
And so that just seems to be they connect, and it's like a resonance thing. They resonate with me and my energy. And I think that we are all energetic. Go back to the beginning. We're energetic beings, and we're
mm.
sensing. We're always feeling into each other. And I think we can feel when there's some commonality there. And or when someone's embodying a state that you aspire to. And as it relates to coaches, I mean, I think that there's different arguments here. I mean, I look at plenty of sports, like you said, and there are some phenomenal players that make horrible leaders. We used to, Rudy and I, my husband, for a long time, we worked in the cruise industry, and then we would actually train sales teams that would work in the cruise industry. And oftentimes, what would happen is there would be some like superstar salesperson,
Terrible sales manager, though.
horrible manager. Like, and of course, the natural thing is we're going to promote them. We want them now
Yes.
to be the leaders of all and the two. I mean, every now and again, you'd find that unicorn that was incredible at sales, but simultaneously incredible at leadership.
Mm,
But leadership is developed, right? And it's a skill. And I think that some people, yes, it's more natural, and some people it takes more learning and development. But I will tell you, us training that sales team, because we had been in their role,
right.
we were better at it. Like we tried bringing in managers from the outside who had been in different industries, who had also coached sales teams, different industry, but they never actually done the role that they
Mm,
were coaching. Didn't work. It didn't work. So I guess there's different schools of thought.
yeah. I think they all could be correct.
I think so too. There's room
Depends
for
on
that.
the problem you solve. And you're not going to attract people that want an ABC solution to a very simple problem and think
No.
life's good. You're going to attract someone who's willing to do that deeper work, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And that just requires you, if I would say this, if someone is listening to this and they have a hard time, or they find that they're getting or attracting clients that are not who like aligned, or just feel like they're not quite right, a right fit, usually the issue is an authenticity issue.
Mm,
It's usually, okay, like, where are you not aligned with you? And if you can fix that, you'll see it mirrored back in the people that come. Or people who book calls and they never show up for them. Okay, where are you not showing up? Because I guarantee you there's somewhere in your life that you're doing this where you're not quite showing up. And this goes back to like a belief that I have, which is just, I believe that everything's a reflection. It's
mm,
all a reflection. And that when you can make shifts internally, you will see that outside of you. Reflect it back.
Where does numerology work its way in? Is there a connection here? So I actually
Yeah.
don't know what numerology is. So
Okay, amazing.
I'm just like crossing my fingers that I'm segueing well.
You're totally, it's numerology. So numerology was one of, like, I would say, the OG self-help methods, right? It's
Mhm.
been around as long as astrology has been around, which is like since the beginning of time. I mean, people have been reading the stars and mapping. That was how that's how harvest season was timed and how, all of that. So numerology is essentially in its simplest form is the study of numbers, but not just numbers as measurement, that numbers hold frequency, they hold energy, and that they also hold meaning. And so understanding numbers, which actually are the foundational element of everything, can be reduced to numbers. Even if you look at nature, the Fibonacci sequence, even the way that like hurricanes form and they rotate, it's all numerical. And that when you can understand the meaning of numbers and the important key numbers in your life, that it can also give you context. I like to call it like pattern recognition. It can help you give context to what otherwise might appear random. And so I originally found numerology right as I was actually met Rudy. So it was about 15 years ago. And immediately when I discovered it, I was hooked. I was like obsessed. Because I felt like once I started to understand what my numbers said about me, and in numerology, there's many different aspects, but one of them is called a life path. And it's basically just the sum of all of the numbers that make up your birth date. And there are 9 life paths with a couple of master life paths. And each one essentially they shed light, it sheds light on what you came here to master. The path you came here to walk. It's not here to tell you, it's not a personality quiz and be like, well, you're gonna be really witty because you're this life path. It's like, this is what you came here to master and learn. It's kind of like declaring a major. It's like your soul declared a major before it came to earth. That's your life path. And so it oftentimes is what is hard for you. You came here to learn it. So it's going to present a lot of challenges for you to master. But once you understand that, you stop blaming yourself and thinking, something's wrong with me. I'm failing at life. Oh, and then when people see it, when I introduce it to them, they're like, this makes so much sense. Okay, now I understand. Now I can re-perceive some of my life's experiences, as well as some of my desires and the things that I really want to do.
Okay, so let's first break this down.
Okay.
Is human design related to numerology, or are these two separate fields of thought? Because I feel like I see a relation, but I'm not sure.
There is a relation between all of them. I like to say, because I study human design, I study astrology, and they're all saying the same thing. It's kind of like 3 different languages that can be translated into a meaning.
Yeah.
And I actually look at all of them. And oftentimes I feel like numerology it's the most accessible. It's the most accessible in terms of it kind of gives you more of that like high level, this is what's going on. Whereas astrology is very nuanced, as is human design. You gotta get in there and you gotta learn, and people will study a lifetime and it's still very like, there's so many things to take in. Whereas what I found is numerology is a good gateway to all of that. And so I teach, I do teach, but more so I bring it into my work with clients because I find it helps for us very quickly to be able to go deep and cull through some of the more conscious like patterns of thinking and get to the root of issues. But I also teach in numerology, and you've probably seen this everywhere, especially with like the year of the fire horse, and we're coming into that. Have you seen this all over social media, or is that just my feed?
Wasn't it just the year of the snake or something?
It was just the year of the snake, which was a 9 universal year. So in numerology, there
it's
are
not
universal
over yet.
cycles.
So it's January 29th today. The year doesn't end till like February something, correct?
So February 17th is technically the beginning of the year of the fire horse. And but numerology has what we call universal year cycles. So the earth follows this 9-year cycle, and each year is like a different theme party. Okay. It's like, it's a different vibe, and everyone collectively is going to experience this, but personally, you also have a 9-year cycle that you're working. It might be aligned with the universal, it might not. And so there is some depth to this, but once you understand what year you're in, it really helps you. It's kind of like understanding the weather. You're not going to change the weather. You get to decide how you feel about the weather. You could either just accept it and be like, I'm going to make the best of this, or you can make it really difficult. But I think the better part is just to be prepared. You kind of understand, like there are certain years that are geared for external expansion. And then there are certain years that are geared for internal expansion that are going to slow you down. And no matter what you do, if you try to like force it or run, it's like, it's not going to work. And so this kind of information is helpful, right? Going into a year, because you're like, okay, I know I need to be a little more patient this year. Things might not flow quite as quickly as the year prior, that kind of thing. But yeah, we're going into so it's a whole new cycle. It's a whole new chapter for humanity starting this year.
Feels like it.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I can tell you that. And astrologically, like there are some movements and things happening, I won't get into it, that have never, like they can't find it anywhere in human history. These aspects of these planets are 7 outer planets are moving signs. And these are 7 planets who do not move signs so it's a lot of new. There's going to be a lot of like things we've never seen, things we've never experienced, and innovations we've never experienced. So I'm here for it.
So we're not going to be able to answer every question in this conversation, but I want to go do some soul searching. I want to learn. This still feels ethereal. Let's make it super practical where I could go do something, whether it's Googling or you send me to a resource. Like,
sure.
I know my date. I know like when I was born.
Yeah.
I know, like, what do I need to know? What do I do with that info? And what's it going to teach me?
So like anything else with these, I call them these divine sciences, if you will, there's a lot of depth and there's a lot of like, you could go down a rabbit hole for years and just discover. Where I recommend people start is by first understanding what their life path is. And so in order to do that, all you do is just take your month. So what's your birthday? Let me use you as an example. Can I use you as a guinea pig?
Yeah, I'm June 23rd, 1991. So I'm 6/23/1991.
19. So I'm writing it down 6. So 6 plus 2 plus 3 plus 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 1. I really should have my calculator for this, but I think I can do it.
So
all right.
So those numbers.
You would add all those numbers together.
Do minutes make any difference?
Nope. Not numerology doesn't take into account birth time, and that's helpful because a lot of people don't have their birth time. Or it wasn't on their birth certificate and they're not sure. And so then they feel like they can't really benefit from astrology or human design, but numerology doesn't take that into account.
I want to circle back, but this is how my crazy, my brain is very thoughtful.
I love that.
What if I'm from Australia versus America? And Australia is like a 12 to 14 hour difference. So my birth date's different, but it's the same moment.
I mean, well, with numerology,
my brain always goes to the advanced mode, like because I could be born at this exact time in Australia. Yeah, it's the next day,
right? But it is so it doesn't matter. It's the numerical equation essentially. Okay. With astrology, you'll have to put in your time of birth and your location. So it takes all of that into account, whereas numerology is really about what is your life path is just, it doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter what time. It is the numerical equivalent of what your birth date is. So yes, you will have the same life path as many different people. Yes. And so I do another form of numerology called soul contract numerology that's based actually on your birth name. And it is, I translate it into Hebrew, and then from Hebrew, the numerical equivalent. And then I'm able to go even deeper into what you as a soul came here to experience in this life. It's very, very deep and transformative. So there's many different ways that you can access this information. But let me look at I just want to double check this again so I don't tell you the wrong life path. But all I've done is just write it out. And I think if you're listening to this, I recommend you do that. Or there are plenty of free life path calculators that you can probably go to online at this point, and then they can pull it up for you. 11, 12. Okay, let's see here. 21, 30. I think I'm getting a 31-4. Yeah. So like life path 4 is all about, I call them, they're the builders here oftentimes to build businesses and here to really learn about process and not skipping steps and following a process to actually build something that lasts. And so how have you done with your patience? Have you been pretty patient and have you followed step by step, or do you sometimes like get impatient and wanted to grow faster and want to find the easier way?
Both. So I've been thinking about this, and I'll give you the short version. When I take out the shoulds and the external expectations, like, wow, I started this business and this podcast in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I just hit a 5-year anniversary. I should be more successful. When I go through that thought cycle,
yeah,
I feel like I haven't done enough.
Mm-hmm.
But when I look at the day-to-day moments, I'm just immensely grateful. Like I've never been, so there's a whole adage, success rewards speed. Never been the fastest at anything. And I've never cared. I've always learned slowly. And when I understand a concept, I excel. So I just enjoy being me every single day. It's
That's
when
amazing.
I think of the external stuff.
Yeah.
Or when people are like, what's your 5-year goal? And I'm like, calculating. Like, I'm just enjoying the moment to moment. So I enjoy the building process more than anything else. Now, granted, I do want to have something to show for it.
Yeah.
But I feel like I just enjoy it as is.
Yeah. Which is honestly the healed way to be. I meet a lot of life path 4s they're definitely here to build something big, but they really struggle with the process part and wanting to just like, then they'll skip steps and then they'll have to go back again and do it again. And like, it's like learning a lot of hard lessons of there's something to be said for one brick at a time.
Mm-hmm.
It's that same philosophy still, passes. And so again, going back to this work and with what's really cool is being able to see the through line and how it's shown up, but also, where maybe there are still some challenges for some people or where they get stuck, and then being able to see that pattern as it's like a class. It's a class you came here. You don't walk into a class the first day and expect you to be a master at it. You're going to learn and you're going to have to take some tests, and it's not always going to be easy. And so life paths, I think, is a big one. And then also I would look at your personal year cycle, like what year you are in. And I think that's a really good place to start to understand and work with numerology and get the benefit of it without being overwhelmed by the immensity of information that's out there.
So apologies if you've already said this, but we'll clarify your personal year cycle.
Year cycle. So let me tell you how you're going to get that.
Is that my age or no?
Nope. So you would, so unlike life path that takes your month and your day of your month and day of birth and your full year of birth, what you're going to do is take your month number. So yours is a 6 plus day of birth. So that's a +2 +3, and then the current year. So you are, unless you have a calculator out and you're doing it.
Plus the whole number of the current?
Yep. So 2026. So 6
plus
2, 8,
2
11, 13. I think you're in a 3-year. If I'm doing the math correctly. Wait. Yeah.
So 2026 +2 +0 +2 +6?
Yeah. So 2026 +2 +3 +6.
Got it.
Did you get 21? I need to work on my shorthand math.
6, 8, 11 +2 is 13 +3 is 16 +6 is 22.
Oh, you're 22?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh my gosh, how am I missing? So you're 20, but you're June 23rd, right?
Yeah. 6 +2 is 8 +3 is 11 +2 is 13 +3 is 15 +6 is...
Oh, no. So it's 2026. Sorry, 2026. I'm getting this wrong.
Where did I? Well, yeah, I did something.
I was like, wait, how am I doing this? How am I getting this wrong? So 2026 is 1 plus 2 plus 3, 5 plus 6. Yes. So you're in a 3-year. And the 3-year is marked by it's a very expressive year. It's a very creative year. It's one of my favorite years of the 9-year cycle. Rudy is also in his 3-year, just starting it. And it runs, there's 2 schools of thought with personal year cycles that some people think it starts at the very beginning of the year, like January 1, and runs all the way through. And then some numerologists believe it starts at your birthday. I believe it's a little bit of both. I think it's it gets stronger and stronger and stronger as it gets to your birthday, and you kind of have some peak energy there. And then it slowly, slowly, slowly starts to wane. So you've just come out of a 2-year, not always the easiest years. I'm not going to lie. Twos can feel a little slower. They can feel a little bit, like a little more internal, a little heavier, and maybe not quite as much external expansion as you would have liked, but a good for networking and relationships and building those relationships. But 3 is where a lot of that comes. So you'll feel a lot more speed this year.
How'd you know that?
How did she know? Because I know that I know. And 2 years are so necessary, but you'll feel it all in a 2-year. And it's like every time I get out of a 2-year, I'm like, oh, thank God. I made it through. But this will be a lot more fun, a lot of good business potential in this year, a lot of expansion, good for money, travel, cruise, having fun, being more social, and really allowing space to receive creative ideas, because you're going to go into your next year, and then you're going to be back to building. Build, build, build. So there's your mini reading for you.
So since we can't do a 6-part series just on this,
yeah,
what do you recommend someone does to learn more? Do you want them to reach out to you specifically, or you tell us?
Yeah, so I can give you a link. I actually did in December. I did a 2-hour workshop that went over the universal year and every personal year number, which I can give you a link for if you want to put that in the show notes. And then or just once you calculate your personal year, your life path, you can always, go and check it out online. I also have a life path workshop that I did. So I'll just give you both. I'll give you both links. The difference is some numerologists, I do feel like they will present it very much like this is your personality. And I just don't believe that was the purpose. I believe the purpose is to help us for pattern recognition, help us to relax a little bit and understand and not shame ourselves so much for being imperfect, and failing at certain things. Because once you understand what you're here to learn, then you understand that no one gets a get out of jail free card here. We're all here to learn something. And just because you're not on the same path as somebody else doesn't mean that they're not having a challenging time too. It helps you, I think, have compassion for people and to see your loved ones through a different light. And instead of seeing it as weaknesses, be like, all right, that's just what they're here to learn. That's what they're here for.
They're all on the journey with us.
All on the journey. Yeah.
Maybe just on a different chapter.
Very possibly.
So, we'll make sure that info's in the notes so people can learn more there. Do you want people to reach out to you directly if they feel called to do so?
Absolutely. 100%. If you have any questions or you want more resources, I'm happy to share whatever I have and anything that's really impacted me. What I have found is when people kind of start dipping their toe in, they're like, give me more, tell me more. I want to know more about this, because they really feel it. Like they feel the resonance of it. And it has a way of helping you see yourself in a different light very quickly.
So what else? I'm curious, where do you see yourself? Where are you going? What part of your journey are you on? What's exciting you? I know that's like a triple barrel question.
No.
I just want to know what's new and exciting.
Sure. Well, it's interesting. So I'm in my 1 year. And so I actually follow the universal cycle, and I'm also a life path one. And they're the trailblazers. We're the innovators. Like Steve Jobs was a life path one. So for me, I like to innovate on so even with numerology, like I'm innovating on it. I'm like, how can we modernize this and actually really use this in the present day or our present day life in really real ways? And so I have a lot of creative projects that I want to work on this year as it relates to making this information more accessible, and useful in healing, in nervous system regulation, in helping people understand their purpose on a deeper level. And so that's going to take up some of my time. I have a coaching program that is all about embodiment where I work with women. So we start with numerology and then we get right into now, how do you feel safe to step out and be seen? That visibility thing.
Yes.
And then Rudy and I are actually launching, we're going to be co-facilitating with another couple, but really working with couples, other couples who are wanting to deepen their relationship. So you asked a question and I'm giving it to you. It's kind of all over the place this year, which is a very 1 year kind of thing to do. And I'm just excited. I'm excited for the new and to receive ideas and have the space to actually execute on them.
May I ask one more gigantic question?
Sure.
And we already touched on 100% mastery, perfection. I mean, what is that? We're never going to be 100% master at any specific thing. But what if we all got really, really close? We all became emotionally stable. We found who we were, our most authentic self. Like, what do you think would change in the world? How would things look differently if we all did the work and got as close to perfect as we could in our own regard? I don't like the word perfect. I'm like hedging my statement, but how do you think the world would change if we were able to all be better at this stuff?
Oh my gosh. So many, you didn't lie. Like, this is such a big question. Well, Ben, let me tell you,
You got your magic wand right now. You can paint anything you want.
I've been thinking about this a lot. So I do believe that one of our greatest gifts to humanity is becoming coherent, regulated beings ourselves. Like, so often we look outside of ourselves and we're like, I gotta go change the world and I gotta fix this and I gotta be angry at that and I've gotta, this is broken and whatever. But I actually don't believe that we can create change and solve problems with the same energy that created them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe that if everyone all of a sudden overnight was to say, you know what, I'm going to take accountability for how I feel and making sure that I manage my stuff, right? When I'm feeling triggered, that I do something about it. I recognize, that it's all within my control of how I process and perceive my environment and how I respond and react. And if everyone took ownership over that and they had the tools and they knew how to do this, then what we would see are people who are self-led, self-directed, 100% accountable for all of their choices and their actions, and who wouldn't be so needy. Like, people who are low on energy are needy. They need other people's energy, right? So they're the ones that take up a lot of your time and space, that, maybe complain, blame, and do all. You see a lot of those behaviors because they don't want to take ownership over their ability to co-create and design their life, which stops and starts with how you feel. Because that, I think, is the game that we're here to play on Earth. It's an emotional game. We're here to master those emotions and master our own. And when we do that and we show up from a peaceful place, well, all you have to do is think about, like, the people. Do you know someone that you can think of or point to that every time you're in their space, you feel calmer? Like, or you just find that you can kind of take a deep breath and relax. Well, imagine if there were more of those. You get on a bus and you sit next to a stranger and your anxiety doesn't go up, but instead you're like, whew, wow, this feels really good. Make clearer decisions. I think less decisions out of fear will naturally lead to a more balanced, loving, unified world. But it starts with ourselves.
You know, one thing that's beautiful about that? I feel like I'm tremendously calm. I like
I
being
get that
around
from you. I get some calm vibes from
I
you.
like being around people that have a lot of energy as
Mhm.
well. And it's almost like finding your need in a
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. But there's a difference between having a lot of energy and being like I have a lot of energy depending on when you know in the day, but then there's passion, but then there's energy that's chaotic. And there's a big difference between the two, you know, and how you feel when you're around those people.
I mean, this is a whole nother tangent, but the scariest men in my experience
Yeah.
are the ones that could very easily murder you,
Yes.
feel no need to,
Yeah.
and they just have this calm presence that at any moment they could turn it on.
Yeah.
Let's say someone were to attack someone else, they're going to end that situation quickly.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
it's like they're so energetic, but there's no requirement to be boisterous about
No.
it. And
But I think
dudes
the
like
most
that
powerful people
scare
is that.
me. I'm like, don't say anything stupid.
It's true. I mean, but you can sense it, right? You can
Yeah.
sense their power. They don't need to perform. They do not need to be the loudest in the room. They have a knowing of their ability, but Rudy says this often that the most powerful person in the room is the person who's the most regulated, like the just the calmest, who is just observing. They're so in their power because they're not responding or reacting from what is happening around them. Like that is the most powerful person because they'll always have access to their their full brain to make these decisions, not their, you know, reactivity.
To hedge my statement, it can be a guy, it can also be a gal. I
Yeah.
was just imagining like a super ripped mixed martial artist just like casually hanging out at a game.
So true.
And a fight breaks out and they just tackle the person is what's going through my head. But I've also
Yeah.
met so many women that they almost don't even have to speak words. And the energy in the room changes.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a magical feeling to observe that
Yeah.
kind of power.
Mhm. And that, I
Mm.
mean, it's power. And it can really change. Like the person I think who's in their power the most, like they can shift the room the most in a positive way or well, on the other side too, um if they're not regulated. You know what I mean? Like you see it too, where all of a sudden everyone's going to entrain to that person, especially if they're the leader. Like just by focusing on them, you're actually entraining to their energy. And so a stressed out, chaotic leader will create a stressed out, chaotic team.
I can imagine the leader that's most regulated doesn't feel a need
Mm-mm.
to sometimes even be a leader.
Yeah.
It's a calm, cool, collective presence, but they know, I imagine.
It creates a lot of safety. People feel safe because they're like, this person's got their shit together. You know what I mean? It kind of feels that way. Like, okay, we're good. Because they always seem to kind of be in there, that like calm, steady space. Um, doesn't mean they're always right, but it does always mean that they're gonna like people can trust that they're gonna respond in a way that is not gonna be angry or lashing out or any of that. Like they'll be able to respond and then collectively come to a right solution. I've worked for both.
Mm.
I've worked for both kinds of leaders, and there's a big difference.
So the question is, what kind of leader do you want to be? And
Mm.
that's an internal question for all of us.
Yeah, what kind of leader? And we're always leading, even if you maybe you're just leading your children
Yeah.
or you're leading yourself, but really I think it doesn't really matter the amount of people, but we're always leading. And the mark that we can leave, like to leave for people is in creating safety within ourselves and being a safe place to be is we allow them to feel safe. And when you're safe, man, you'll shine because that's when you're not making decisions out of fear and like trying to be really careful. You're just allowing yourself to be this creative person and to contribute without this fear of like, well, if I fail and don't get it right, then this leader is going to be lash out at me or it's not going to be safe. They're going to let me go and whatever. Yeah.
Some moments from like offering you a beverage and starting a campfire. So in order not to do that, because I could have this kind of talk all night with you. Tell me one more time how I and the listener can continue to support you. What's the best way to reach out? Say hello, support you. You tell me.
Well, thank you for that, Ben. And
Yeah.
this has been awesome. I could also talk to you all night. You're a very easy person to talk to, which is why you're great at what you do. Well, I like to hang out on Instagram at Anniston Blair Riekstins. I also have a podcast, the Anniston Riekstins Show. I love, love, love for anyone who wants to tune in and learn more about numerology, embodiment, feminine leadership. And then my website is annistonriekstins.com. That's where you'll find all of the good numerology goodies, workshops, as well as the programs that I run.
Sweet. This combo's been on my checklist for like ever now, so I'm happy we did it. And
Good.
if you're open to it and the listener wants, we'd
Yeah.
love to do it again sometime because we
I
can
would
go
love-
real deep together.
I would love it anytime.
We'll talk soon.